Thomas, before we get to you, I mean, this is, again, shamelessly helping the afternoon, because why we added global governance, as we wrote in the paper, is, look, they're not working whether you love them or hate them. They're not working. And so what's interesting from this morning's session that I'm taking is this two-level thing coming together. There's the bottom-up, how do we make things work, day-to-day practical thing we're dealing with. And the top-down, could there be a new medium-term division of labor that would actually make things, in a geostrategic Mahan-type sense, reasonable? And getting those 2 points together would lead to a reinvention. I mean, we're looking at both those things. You have to be there or you don't get it done. It seems to me that one of the key points that we need to build on this afternoon, and Thomas add it in or ignore what I'm saying, but the reality is this: it's how you dissent that matters. CJTF pluses, to use technical terms from NATO. Is there a new ground to make these institutions flexible, whereby somebody says, you know, I'm opting out, but we're not going to savage you for doing it. You all go ahead and use common assets, and we will quietly go along with what you're doing, but we're not going to veto or stop you doing it. If you don't get to that, the only two options then for the frustrated superpower are unilateralism or isolationism. You either say, heck with it, I'm not doing anything, or you go along anyway. So if we don't get this right, you're going to play into the very worst things that we're trying to avoid in both Europe and the United States. Thomas, is that right or not?
Well, 2 points. One directly to your question, and then I want to follow on something important that Eric said. How do you reject your question, John? How do you reject the institutions to make it easier for these transactional NATO to proceed in smaller groups? Well, the short answer is I don't know. The longer answer is I'm not sure you want to kick up too much of a fuss about it. I think these are the sort of conversations and arrangements that you want to make privately. I don't see what you stand to gain from publicly debating the fact that NATO now works on the basis of a coalition. Because obviously what you do, you communicate weakness outwards. And that's not obviously something that NATO as an alliance has an interest in doing. But should we quietly amongst ourselves, if that is possible in the age of WikiLeaks, have a conversation?
Don't write it down.
No, I'm not looking at the Americans here. Trying hard not to look at the Americans here. Is there a case for having a quiet conversation about, okay, so we're probably not going to proceed on the basis of 28, we'll probably be more like 11, 15 plus, that's been the average for the past few years. Doesn't mean we need to revise our ambitions. Yeah. I think we need to have the debate. And if we go on the basis of 15 or 28, what about the other 13? Should we allow them to descend gracefully, and if so, under what rules? That's a sort of a debate we need to have. I wouldn't put out and roll out another big official declaration of alliance dissolidarity, because again, I see nothing to be gained from that at all. But I think there is a time for a quiet adult debate on how you make this new NATO work.